Thank you very much. The next speaker, Maurice Less. Focus on success. Aaron, co-founder and CEO of Camero, and at the same time chairman of Discretics, with a very interesting history in Saran and IBM.
First of all, I noticed that the haircut of me and the other guy is similar. So it's a similar story. I'm going to tell you that to define a strategy and then to execute on it is what is really important. So in order to catch your attention, I decided to give the highlight of my presentation at the beginning. So first of all, master your marketplace. Now, what is the market? Normally, people are coming with a solution, and they would like to know how the solution fits the market. The idea here is to understand the market in the general term, to understand that if you are serving a button for a suit, understand the suit, not the button, okay? So that is the first one. Understand the company's strengths and weaknesses. Of course, we are strong, but we have some weaknesses. Try to understand it to figure out where are the weaknesses and try to augment them. Do not underestimate your competitors. Normally, I'm seeing a business model or business presentation in which the competitors are listed as Microsoft and Oracle. Okay? That's nice. We grew up on the legendary story of David against Goliath. It happened once. It was written in the Bible. In all the other cases, Goliath won. So the other one is define strategic goal. That's the way to think about. Think about in a big way. Take your time. It will deserve. It's the ROI that the other guy was talking about. The other one is to turn this strategic goal into an annual operation plan, which means what you are going to do next at the second day, and build a healthy and professional organization to execute on your plan. Why it is written in red? Because I'm going to give an example that states these highlights. Now, finance your organization to feed the above and take margins, and that's quite simple. And it means that sometimes if you don't find the right financing, maybe it should not worse to do the startup. Don't start with $100,000 and then see how it goes. Always believe in a religious way in what you do. Probably you will be the only one around. And the nice one is that all those nice stories that you heard that someone, founded a company and after 2 months got $10 million probably is not going to happen to you. So be prepared to work hard. One thing that I would like to emphasize is when we are talking about, especially in Israel, when we are talking about a company, we normally address technology, not a company, okay? So a company is far beyond than a technology. First of all, the market, the size, the absolute size of the market, the growth, the competition, access to the market, not always there. If there is a market, you have the access to the market. The other one is to, and of course you should answer all those questions before you start the company. The other one is the team, CEO, sales, marketing, as well as R&D. Technology, again here, it's not only good enough to have technology, but you have to see how the technology from innovation point of view, barrier, if you are telling this story to another one and it can imitate you in a few seconds, it's not a good technology. And of course, how to turn technology into a product. Okay, so that's the key messages. And let's see the case studies. They asked me to do some case study that is well known. So Zoran is a well-known company. It was founded in 1982 by Dr. Levi Gertzberg, that is currently the CEO of the company. When he founded the company, he founded it as a headquarters in the Silicon Valley and R&D in Israel. It was one of the pioneers in this model of having headquarters in the Silicon Valley and R&D in Israel. The company is selling consumer electronic chips. First IPO was late 95 with 20 million of proceeds. The secondary one was much more meaningful from the proceeds point of view. It was $120,000, major acquisition of the company. Oak, Oren, and Blaze Semiconductors. And today they have offices around the world. The list is there. 2007 revenue was $500 million and $65 million net profit. So it's a very nice company, very sizable company. This is what the company is currently selling. DVD chips, of course. They are not selling the systems. They are selling the chips for the systems, chips for digital cameras. And I would like to address the market share. DVDs, a 35% market share. It's a huge market share, taking into account that there is some captive market that are not buying any chip from outside. So it's a huge market share. In digital camera, it's again a huge market share, taking into account that Canon, for example, is providing their own chips. So if you're buying a camera that is not Canon, you have something like a 50% chance to find a chip of Zoran inside. Now, what happened, and this is the time that I was in the company, what happened in 96 to 98? The revenue of the company was quite flat, about $40 million throughout the years. They had the two offices that initially were founded when the company was founded in the US and Israel. Israel was R&D, the US was mainly sales and marketing. They had 6 product lines and about 70 employees, 45 in R&D, and most of the employees were in VLSI. In 2001, that's the year that I left the company, the revenue was $107 million, 7 offices mainly in the Far East, 270 employees, 110 R&D, 30% only from the R&D were VLSI, and the rest system and software. Okay, so it's a major change in the way that the company worked. Okay, it's a major change. Now let's see how this change was made. First of all, we defined a strategic goal. A lot of discussions were conducted in order to define this simple goal, okay? Set the DVD consumer market sales target greater than 25% market share. That was the goal at that time, okay? Now, the question is, why did we set the goal? Of course, we developed a chip for DVDs, but the history of the company was the following one. Internal sales organization at that time was Western-oriented, where about 80% of the revenue came from the Western world, and about 20% from mainly in Japan through FFM, that was the distributor that we worked at that time. The sales in each one, 6 product lines, so the sales in each one of the product lines were niche level sales, no market share in mass market. Okay? So that was another profile of the company. The first office in China was opened in January of 1998. Why it is important? If you would like to get 25% market share of something that is consumer-based, you have to work in China because they are providing all the consumer electronics around the world. Now, in China, most of those companies that you are familiar with, like Haier and some other brand names that you're familiar when you buy a product here in Israel, their R&D is very limited. Sometimes it's 8 people, sometimes 10 people, and sometimes it's 12 people, but they are very proud on them. So if you want to sell them a product like a chip, what you have to sell them basically is the system. You have to sell them everything. So you are preparing the design for them. Zoran has the best DVDs and the best cameras in the market. And what they are selling is they are selling the design from one point of view and the chips as the IP from another point of view. They are making the money out of the chips. So there is a need to change the company structure such that instead of developing chips, the company has to develop systems, products, okay? And that was the major change in order to get a 25% market share. So it turned to be from a chip company to a system company. China culture and requirements, I stated a little bit about them. Unlike the one that is known here and that the products are not in good quality, etc., nothing is correct. It's a very good quality products, very robust products. They understand quality, and you have to provide them the best solution in town in order to succeed and to penetrate and to make the market there. Scalability, again here, you have to provide a full solution, And the end result was in 2005, the Far East-oriented sales of Zoran were 80% out of the revenue. Today, it's a similar situation. Conclusion about scalability. When you set such a strategic goal, you have to perform about the strategic goal. That means that you have to transfer the company to a company that provides reference designs. For this, you have to have quality engineers in the system and software, and not only in VLSI. And this is a system company, a classical system company. Every consumer electronics chip provider in the market, including the cellular, is a system company, not a chip company, okay? And it's a major change in the way that the company thinks and behaves. First of all, focus on strategic goal. Now, focus is a nice word. When the company had 6 product lines, and to say, I would like to have 25% market share, the responsibility of the CEO at that time is what not to do. And what not to do is much difficult than what to do, because focus is a nice word. The problem is what to drop. Okay? So that's the second one. Now, especially in the US, there is a nation that is called Asian. You know, everything that has some eyes in some mode. Unfortunately, China, Japan, Korea are very, very different. I believe that the two extremes that you can think about is between Japan and China. Okay? So it's not Asian. Each one of them has its own culture, its own way, its own business model, etc., and you have to master it. Work with excellent distributors, and that's true to any company, but control them such that you will have the same culture inside the company. So if you would like to work with excellent distributor in China, you have to have Chinese people inside your company that are managing those distributors. Conclusion and summary. First of all, you know, it's a loneliness of the CEO. The CEO has a lot on his shoulders in startup and, of course, in public companies. And, you know, I heard a lot of stories about, you know, I have a board. Okay, you have a board, so the board doesn't do anything. The board helps you when you don't need it and doesn't help you when you need it, you know. A US president is another myth, you know. Let's find someone that understands the market. You're the one, that's all. You have to master the market. Don't count on someone that he will understand the market. And of course, team, you know, teamwork, you know, some of the words like teamwork and brainstorming and those ideas, yes, they are correct. You can conduct anything that you want, but at the end of the day, you are responsible to make it happen. Accountability and responsibility are the name of the game. To yourself first, to your employees, investors, board of directors, customers, and providers. So you have to be responsible to all. And again here, tough decisions are where the difference is being made. Because it's very simple to take a decision, you know, on going to a trip of the company to the Galilee or the, you know, the Dead Sea. It's a very simple decision, you know. Whatever you would decide, there will be half of the people that will be happy and half not. But all those companies that I'm familiar with never failed or never succeeded because of the result of this decision, okay? So the tough decision, when you have to drop something, when you have to fire people, when you have to change the scheme of the company, these are the tough decisions that you have to take, and that where management and leadership is needed. Now, the other one is my own belief. Companies should be built for, built to last company, not, build the company in order to exit at some point in time. It's a byproduct. It can happen, but build the company in a way that it's built to last. And two last items from this story. Dropping is another way of focusing. I already addressed it. It's very hard to do the dropping. You know, you have a business line. The business line is so-and-so. It's not a dramatic failure. It's not a wonderful success. And it's very hard to cut it. Okay? But that should be done in order to focus and set long-term strategic goals, map them into operational plan, and just stick to it. In a startup, You have one try. You have one try. Stick to it, go for it, and normally, if you are going to do it, it is going to succeed. And the fun of doing it, it's excellent. Thank you very much.